Hey cuties, it's Amy and I'm in the studio and I thought it'd be fun to work on my December daily project together. Let's get started. One of my main goals this year was to use only old products. So basically I bought nothing new except for these Sakura Lala stamps that I plan on using in my planner. So that was kind of my excuse slash reason for getting them. Other than that though, this is just accumulated over the years and I think I have two of these bins. So I wanted to make sure that I went through and only used the things that I had on hand. And I mean, these are so old. This one's from Studio Calico. I've got the Dear Lizzie Brads. I think this is from her second collection. So there's a lot of old products here that I'm eager to use. All right, so what I did was I started with this Simple Stories small book that I really wanted to use, and I made some cards and decorated them and just stuck them into the sleeves. But as I was flipping through my old December dailies, which I will link the video below, I really, I guess, made the realization that I truly love this bigger size. This is from Studio Calico and Ali Edwards, and I love the fact that the Simple Stories page protectors in that other album fit into this one as well. So I really get excited about decorating the cover, and I had an idea to cover it this year with just some gift wrap. This is from Rapidly, and it's made from recycled newsprint. Their designs are awesome, and I wanted to keep it pretty simple, but I couldn't decide between the teal or the black and white side. I'm going to use Collage Page on the cover, but I wanted to paint this red part white. So I just took some acrylic paint, and I'm taking a paintbrush, and I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but I'm just brushing a coat of white paint. The reason I wanted to cover up this red is because I really think that I want to use the teal side as opposed to the black and white. So I'm going to go ahead and go around and try to do as much covering up as I can of the red fabric. To speed up the drying process, I used this Zap heat gun from American Crafts, and I used several more layers of acrylic paint, and as you can see here, the coverage is pretty good. The next thing I wanted to do was put a little card in this window, and I wanted it to be a tag, but after several attempts of trying to get it down to the right size, I don't know, I was just getting really frustrated because I was cutting it down and then I cut it too small and then I tried again and it was just not working. So instead I decided to go with something that was easier and less stressful, which was just to paint it and cover it with some white cardstock that I can fill out later. I just gave up on the cover because I was getting so annoyed with myself, which sometimes that happens, so I just decided to move on to the inside pages because I can always come back to the cover. Now to print my photos, I'm using this Canon Selfie CP900. There's a little door in the front that flips open, and then I have to flip this tray out and then I think slide it in. I haven't used this printer in over a year. I use it mainly for my December dailies, and it's a great printer. I don't know why I don't use it more often. I go into the Canon IEPP app, and apparently there's a new one, but it didn't work for me, so I'm just sticking with what I know and going into the photo albums. This is my process for making it really easy to print out the photos that I need and include details from about a week's worth of December daily stuff. So I go into pick frame and I want to choose the 3:2 ratio because I'm printing on a 4:6. So I choose whichever layout that I want, which is trying to fit 4 photos onto the screen. I don't like the border, so I just went ahead and thinned it out. And I'm going into my camera roll and pulling up the 4 photos that I want to print. And what's nice about this app is that it's really easy to use and I can lay out however many photos I want onto the sheet. And if this one needs to be rotated, for example, you just click it and then rotate it and you can move it around. So then once I'm done with it, I can go ahead and save it, and then I can go and do another one, which I want to have 6 squares, but I already have the old photos here from the previous pick frame thing, so I'm going to go ahead and select the 6 photos that I want to be squares. Once again, I can move the photos around. I can make it larger or smaller if I want. Actually, sorry, you can't make it smaller if it's already a square photo. But yeah, just moving it around so that I can figure out how I want the crop. And then once it looks good, I hit share and then save. My go-to is getting 2 photos onto one 4x6 usually. So typically they are vertical because that's what I'm taking on my iPhone lately. But I can zoom in and get the other person's feet out of the picture and then fit 2 3x4 photos, which is what I typically use for the December dailies. So I can just figure out what I want and then go ahead and I want to send it to the printer, so I have to go back to my Canon app, and this is where I choose the photos that I just took, which are in my camera roll, that I just pick framed, and I can select this one, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit print, and then what I could do is I could select multiple photos, but this is wirelessly sending it to my printer, and it takes about, I don't know, a minute or so. The picture spits out 3 times or 4 times and makes some funny noises. But now I'm going to select actually this one, select, and then this one, select, and then click up there and hit print. So I'm printing 2 at a time. And while that's printing, I'm going to go ahead and take this photo and bend the perforated strips at the sides and tear them right off. So a lot of people don't really like this printer because it's not a true 4x6. I honestly don't mind. I will print just one photo like I am here, which turned out great except for that little dot. And then I don't mind that it doesn't fit perfectly into the 4x6. There are some people who care about that stuff, so I suggest maybe not getting this printer if you are one of those people. The next thing I like to do is gather all my stuff for the week. I've got some photos, I've got some memorabilia, some tags, some postcards, and organizing this at the end of a given segment of time, I think is something that people may not actually make time for, which is why the process becomes so daunting and overwhelming. So I feel like a week is a good amount to handle. Any more than that, you might start forgetting stuff, and I don't know, the busyness of our everyday lives gets in the way, so we just don't make it a priority. So my deal is to take Post-it notes and work backwards, grouping things and sorting out the memorabilia and figuring out where I want these items to go with the corresponding dates. This has been just the system that works best for me. If you are more organized than I am, I encourage you to share your tips and tricks in the comments below. I've just got this strange way of organizing things in piles, and then I like to sort them all out and spread them all out in front of me. But I think another way to do this would be to actually put everything in envelopes or a file system, either at the end of the day or the beginning of the next day for the previous day. Part of the reason I love this size so much, this format, is because you can really incorporate so much within each page, and every page becomes kind of like a mini collage and a puzzle that you have to put together with all these elements, and I think that it's part of the creative process to see what works for you. Once I decide on something, I go ahead and slip it into the pocket. It makes me feel accomplished, and then I can focus on embellishing something else. So I'm taking this Merry and Bright card that I got from Persnickety Prints. I'll do some journaling on this side, and then I want to also work on the back as well as the front. So I cut down the Amazon notice, and I'm sliding it right in. Instead of cutting this wrapping paper, I decided to tear it, and I accidentally tore a little too much, but I think it's okay. I am going to go ahead and take the paper trimmer and trim this down to a 4x6. Because I don't want these elements floating, I'm going to adhere them both down. and then I want to finish these off and move on to the next spread. I can always come back and embellish later. So I've got these pieces for the next day, which will fit onto this sheet, and I'm using that very technical method of measuring with my fingernail tip so that I can indicate where I want to cut using the paper trimmer. That's how I measure, and it works. I think that there's a lot of you who have mentioned actually that you do the same thing. So apparently this is about 6 by 9, I think, or 6 by 8, I can't even remember now. But clustering these and seeing how they'll go together with my photo and making sure I have all the elements is part of solving the puzzle and part of the reason I love to scrapbook. To match the stripes on that Happy Holidays Bloomingdale's card, I decided to grab this Marks tape with the film strips on it. I also went to San Francisco on this day to film for Brit & Co, so I thought it lent itself nicely to coordinating with the whole theme. I've got this boarding pass that I want to stick in there, and I also wanted to put my key from the W Hotel in as well. I love the yellows, which is why I grabbed the yellow washi tape to kind of balance that out. So I think my photo is going to fit here somewhere, but first I have to move this over just a little bit, maybe closer to the edge, so that I can get my photo in a proper place and it'll just balance out a little bit better. So once I have that down, I want to go ahead and plan out the other elements, like this chopstick holder that I got from Ryoko's. And I also want to make sure I include this washi tape, which I'm just going to tear off and stick down. There's a tiny little piece that I have, but I don't think I can use it. I tore another one for the top. On the back, I'm going to use the photos from the Brit & Co shoot, as well as my boarding pass and another element or two, and see how it looks. I love just without adhesive, planning it out like this, moving it around, seeing what works, and then committing with adhesive. Before I do that, however, I want to have this yellow underneath the camera, so I'm tearing off a strip and lining it up down here, and then it just pulls in nicely because I love the pop of yellow that kind of matches the yellow on the t-shirt in the photo as well as the lens of the camera right here. Placing it down and then gluing the other elements when I'm ready to commit to the paper. Another little piece of washi tape that I want to tuck under this house and then stick down. And I remembered I had these Simple Stories stickers. They are from a planner kit, their new Carpe Diem line, and I put the airplane pointing down mainly because that was when I flew from San Francisco to Los Angeles, but it looks kind of weird that way, but I'm just going to leave it. And in the middle of this cluster, I'm putting this car because I was in a lot of Ubers and taxis in San Francisco and when I got home. I'm cutting off a strip of this paper. This is the back of the lined paper that I want to include underneath, but I realized that the black lines sort of get in the way, so I cut a different strip and I'm just going to tuck it under and adhere it. This film strip washi tape is something that I want to include as well, so I'm just going to stick it down right here and then cut the end off with scissors. Next, I want to add some title work using these alphabet stickers, maybe underneath the camera. I know some of you are perfectionists out there, but I just guess when it comes to the title work and try to do the best I can to fit it and make it centered. It's good enough. So I think that that side is actually done. The other side, I remember that I had this Carpe Diem washi tape pack. They're like these little strips, and I wanted to add this black and white for a finishing touch. It was missing something, but it was perfect with this, and I finished my journaling in that little film area. Now for the next spread, I decided to combine Friday and Saturday because I didn't think that I had so many elements, so I want to do Friday at the top and Saturday at the bottom, and I want to include as much of the stuff as I can. On the 4x6 piece of patterned paper from Dear Lizzie, I went ahead and laid out the photos and then remembered that I had a tag that would be perfect for that spot, and that's where I'll include my journaling. Got a date stamp here. This is by Quick Mark. It's just from an office supply store. I can't remember which one. And I'm stamping the date. This is the MT Fab tape that I got. It's so awesome. And I'm putting it at the top of the postcard from our Saturday shopping excursion. And I thought about stamping this Do Not Fold stamp that I picked up, but there's no room really. So I'm just working out where I can finish off this last bit of stuff. And then something that I want to include as well is this date stamp, and I'm just going to stamp it on this tag right here. The puzzle of putting these things together was quite interesting, so now I'm just going to work on the back. I think I'm going to consider this done, and even if I wanted to, I could slide it back out and add some more stuff. Because Sunday was a busy day, I decided to have a 2-page spread, and then I remembered that I actually had an additional photo that we took at the City Year event where we volunteered and helped paint an elementary school. And I think that, well, we helped paint murals on an elementary school. So I want to take out these elements and then go ahead and embellish them. I put this receipt on there just to the right so that I could see Happy Little Life. Then I want to cover up that little dot. I don't know why it printed out that way, but it's nothing some washi tape can't fix. And I'm going to also include some title work on top of it, and then we'll be good. Sometimes random things like this happen and you just have to craft up ways to cover up mistakes even if they're not caused by you. And I love using dimensional stickers on top of photos because it adds just the perfect amount. So what I want to do here is choose this 3x4 card that I'm trimming away from my patterned paper, and I'm going to put them together and stick them on the back with washi tape, basically joining them together. And there you have it. I did some journaling so that I could include the detail of Octavia Spencer patting Jack's head. It was so cute and sweet, and I want to incorporate as many of the memorabilia and random items as I can. Once that spread is done, I want to flip it over and actually work on the back side and go ahead and glue this 3x4 card right down, as well as this picture. Next, I want to take my watercolors, and after I've done the stickers for the Monday, I want to grab the Tim Holtz water brush that I've been using, squeeze some water into the black, mix it around, and then write on top of here, already. And I think this is really fun to kind of layer on top of because it's one of those cards that already has watercolor on it, actually from my line, and I think it'll look really great with this black contrast. So that's what I do, and I highly recommend you practice just using the brush and getting comfortable with it, and practice, practice, practice. All right, next spread is this Tuesday, I think. Yeah, the next day, which I want to put directly onto this photo of Jack, the poor guy. He actually got sick for the first time, and I journaled about it a little bit on the photo. Clear stickers are a great way to add a little bit of interest, and I like sticking mine directly onto the page protectors. And if you have this pack, you'll know that there's a bunch of fun gold designs and watercolor designs that you can incorporate into all of your projects. I love to not only use everyday items, but of course December Christmassy items as well. I think the mix is really fun. It's all about having fun, really, throughout every step of the process, from living your life to capturing it to making and creating the scrapbook, and then looking back on these albums. Remember, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, so don't get too caught up in making every single bit of it a masterpiece. It's far better to have something simple to show documenting your day than an unfinished pile of potential and old supplies. Hope you feel inspired to get creating in whatever way works for you. So that was so much fun, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I would love to see the projects you're making for December Daily or anything creative that you're up to. So if you have any links, feel free to leave them below as well. I'd love to check them out, and I will see you all soon in another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!